Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Okay, now here's the thing. And this is what happens. So I am literally instant messaging Rob and let's see here. Bear with me just a second. I see already in the comments something about Rob's place in Mandala Springs. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's see. Bear with me. All right. All right, Rob. I love you. I got to do this. Hey, how's it going, guys? So, yeah. So, hey, it's Friday. Friday is generally a good day. It's just been kind of a rough week for me. And so, hence the title. Now, the original title was I've been in a funk, and that's what I call it. But I did change it just because I know that not everybody might know what a funk is. And so basically, okay, so let's just talk about what it is to be in a funk, and then and then we're going to talk about, I've been in a funk pretty much all week, in one way or another, and then we'll talk about kind of how I'm going about it. If you've got things to share, I'd love to hear your suggestions, what you do when you're in a funk. Maybe even if you're going through something, we can talk about that as well. Feel free to ask questions and in the chat. So okay, so yeah, so what is a funk? So like there's being depressed for a good reason, and then there's also just kind of like sometimes you just don't feel your chipper self. You just feel kind of. Thank you, Rusty's doing the giraffe breathing, the Sasquatch breathing, the gorilla scratch. Oh my God. Okay. But sometimes you guys are way ahead of me, man. I should have just done some giraffe breathing and some gorilla scratch before I started. But sometimes you get in funks. And what is it? What is a funk? Okay. So whenever I consider myself in a funk, it is kind of like it's one of those things where you're not really even sure exactly why you're just feeling kind of down. It's not like you're your chipper self, and you kind of feel sad. You kind of feel a little depressed and droopy just a little bit. And maybe you have some reasons, like I do have some reasons, there's some things that it's like, I'm kind of getting down on myself for certain things, and maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, and I think when a person is in a funk, or whenever a person is in a position where, you're feeling some emotion, it's a healthy and a helpful process to say, okay, so maybe it is just that I need to, maybe this is my wake-up call, because we do have emotions for a reason. I think we oftentimes will overanalyze our emotions, and we just want to sit there forever and try to figure out all the different reasons why we feel this way, and almost wallow in the feeling or the emotion. And I don't think that's helpful, but I do think that it is helpful sometimes to say, okay, so is there a rational reason for me to feel kind of down? Is there a rational reason for me to be in a funk? And there's some things, there's some things that, I'm like, am I being a good enough dad? Right? Am I being a good enough husband? Am I being a good enough, it's one of those things where I think it's sometimes it's important to actually say, okay, there's nothing wrong with trying to check in, right? And maybe the emotions are there for a reason. Maybe you feel a certain way for a reason, and that's difficult to do when you're in a funk, because when you're in a funk, or whenever you're feeling down or things like that, the natural inclination is to really kind of sometimes bury your nose in that funk, or bury your nose in that feeling and feel sorry for yourself, or make things worse. I think, sometimes I think it's easy to just make things worse, which is what I used to do. I absolutely used to make things worse, because what I would do is I did a lot of drugs when I was younger. And what I would do is I would just bury myself. And this is something that, I think a lot of times people do resort to, negative coping mechanisms, right? Unhealthy coping mechanisms when they feel kind of down. And I think because we don't like it, it's not a fun feeling to feel down and a little depressed. I get to go. There's a funeral this evening or tomorrow. There's a funeral. The showings tonight of a family friend, a guy who I've known my whole life, recently passed away. So there's reasons, but I know myself well enough at this point to know that it's also just sometimes there's just no reason. I think that's the thing. Sometimes it's actually part of the human experience to feel down, and we don't really want to. We don't like feeling down. It's not a pleasant experience, but I think it is part of the human experience to feel down. And I think oftentimes, we're so obviously all of us prefer pleasure. We want to feel good, but and I think sometimes we almost feel guilty, especially in the space that I'm in, right? Because one of the things that I try to do is I try to help people to process emotions, and I try to help people to better manage their states. And I try to help people who are going through depression or anxiety and things like that. And I think sometimes people get the notion that I don't have any of those issues. And it's like, no, I mean, I'm a human being just like everybody else. And then I also think I know that I also sometimes feel like, well, I shouldn't have to suffer from these issues. I shouldn't have any of this. So sometimes it's a matter of just kind of almost feeling bad for feeling bad, right? And I really am kind of happy. Okay, if I'm kind of happy that I am in a funk this week so that I can really just talk about it. I've wanted to make, and I occasionally do make videos on emotional issues and life advice and things like that. And those are great. And I really enjoy doing those. And I've had a lot of you guys reach out to me and say, hey, those things have really helped me. And that makes me feel amazing to know that, maybe just somehow, maybe some garbage that I had to process, I can at least help somebody else. But I'm kind of glad that I'm in a funk right now so that I can just kind of talk about it from the position of being in a funk. And maybe I'll watch this video later. And once the funk has subsided, and we'll see where we've gone from there. But I think it's just yes, Rusty. Jesse is human. I'm sorry. I keep trying. There was a movie that someone was, what was it? I think it was a Grandma's Boy, where the guy said, I'm only human, but I'm doing everything I can to upgrade my legs or something. He's going to get robot legs or something like that. I need to watch that movie. But basically, I think it's part of the human experience, and it's not a thing to like, it's something to say, okay, there doesn't have to be a reason. There doesn't have to be some major thing. Yeah, there's some things I am, I'm not happy about, but I mean, you give any time you've ever seen me on a live, most likely there's a few things I haven't been happy about that week, right? So I mean that's a pretty normal thing in life, is to not be happy about everything. But I think it's valuable, and I think this is why it's valuable today to talk about it. It's valuable to really reflect on what it is to be in a state where you're just not feeling that. It's not like I'm sick physically. I feel fine. I'm absolutely fine physically, and it's just a psychological thing. And occasionally we go through these funks. So how do I deal with it? Okay, so this is how the thing is, it takes a few days to realize that I'm in a funk, first of all. So but because at first you might just have a bum day. And this past week here in Indiana, it's been kind of cloudy every day, some overcast, just kind of been just kind of been kind of yucky out, that kind of thing. So sometimes, it's just like, well, when the sun's shining, it's easy to be happy. Whenever it's kind of overcast, it's not so easy. But hey, it's a sunny day and I still feel like I'm in a funk. And so here's what I'm trying to do. And I don't want to ignore some of these comments over here real quick. So a lot of times what I do is I talk a long time, and then by the time I get to your comment, you're not on here anymore. so let's see. I can sometimes feel not adequate or lacking in potential, says Samuel. If I do not feel warm in the cold by using my intention, but I'm really unsure whether it is possible to do a point of not feeling the cold. Okay. Well, we'll talk about some of that stuff later. Let's see here. Anyway, yeah, we could talk about cold training and some of that stuff later. We're kind of, let's stay on point. Let's stay on point today. I don't normally stay on point, but yeah, so it probably would be good to stay on point today. But basically, there's some days when you just kind of feel down, and then there's a funk, right? And so how do you break out of a funk? So today specifically, I realized, you know what? And yesterday I really realized it too. My wife kind of noticed as well. And I am very blessed to have people in my life who care about me enough to, say something. Now, my wife is not always the kind of person a lot of times she'll do the thing where it's like, hey, get out of a funk. You're in a funk. Stop it. Right. Because she's fun like that. But it's nice whenever other people can kind of say, hey, you know what, you do seem like you're kind of feeling down. What's going on? And it's nice when you have that. I haven't always had that in my life, and not all of us have that in our lives. But I think but eventually you kind of just come to the point where you're like, okay, I'm feeling down, and why is that? So my psychologist friend, my neuroscientist friend, Dr. Otto Muzik, if you've read my book, I picked his brain, which I think is hilarious, by the way, to say that I picked the brain of a neuroscientist. I think it's funny. I'm all about the puns. Okay. I picked his brain anyway, but like what happened was, he was talking to me about it. And basically, if you can, sometimes it's just a matter of speaking out loud. I am worried about this. I am upset about this. Just to be able to actually put it into a sentence sometimes will release some of the anxiety, the stress, the nervousness, the depression. And it's been documented that helps. Simply being able to speak it out loud rather than just feeling it, trying to articulate it. So I did that today. And it always feels kind of weird whenever you say, I am feeling this way because I am feeling, because this is what I think. And so that did help. That does help. And then you start to realize, well, things aren't really that bad. I don't have that much to really be depressed about or upset about. So then I have to say, okay, I'm just kind of in a funk. And so from that point, that's where I have my tools. I do have a toolkit, and this is where it's difficult sometimes. And this is something. Here's my teaching moment. All right. The thing is, I only whenever I try to think about whenever I actually get into a funk like this, or in any kind of a state of feeling down, it's a very teaching moment. And the reason I say that is because I have a lot of clients. I teach a lot of courses. I work with a lot of people. And if you've ever known a person who is going through depression or who really needs to use the tool that works, right? The tool works. You use it. You've seen the science. This is a usable tool. You ought to try this. It's more times than not, the most difficult thing is not teaching the person the technique or guiding the person through. It's getting the person to actually get on board, right? It's getting the person to actually be motivated to do the work and to say, okay, I need to do some work to get through this funk. Because when you're in a funk, when you're depressed, when you're experiencing anxiety, whether it's social anxiety or any other kind of anxiety, you don't naturally want to do anything, right? You just want to kind of, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to suffer. And so ultimately, the most difficult thing when I train people, whenever I have clients that of many different backgrounds, is to get the person to actually give it 100%. And I think it's really, and so if you, next time you go into a funk, because it's part of the human condition, right? Next time you have a week or a day or whatever time where you're just feeling down, I think it's very instructive. So I had to really force myself today. I've done multiple breathwork sessions today. I've got the ice bath out there. After this broadcast, I'm going to go take an ice bath. But these are things that, you know what, all I really want to do is sit around and watch TV. All I want to do is just kind of be, I just don't want to do anything, because that's the natural feeling that I have inside. But I know that won't actually do anything. That probably will perpetuate the funk. And the only funk I want is, got to bring on the funk, right? I like funk music, right? But I don't want to stay in this funk because it's something that I want to be able to show up, especially, I don't know, is it Mother's Day Sunday for the whole world? Let's see. I know I saw some of my Papa Geek. Is it Mother's Day Sunday where you are in Europe? Anybody know? We got people in here that are also experiencing the funk. Well, let's get through this together, my friends. So anyway, Sunday is Mother's Day. So I volunteered this year to grill for my mother. So it's May 30th in Sweden. Okay. So it's not everybody's going to be this. Okay. So Sunday in the United States, it's Mother's Day. So I want to be able to show up not only for my mother, but also for my wife, who is a mother, right? So it's important for me not to be feeling blue, not to be feeling down, not to be in the funk. So here's basically what my plan is and what I've been doing today. Okay. There's a few techniques that I usually use to make myself feel better. But some of them are not just breath work. Like some of it is forcing a smile. And I know that some people find that to be taboo. Like, oh, you shouldn't force a smile. If you don't feel good, you don't smile. But the reality is, if you force a smile, the thing is you're sending a signal back up into your brain that things are okay. Because I know that there's no reason for me to be depressed intellectually. I've kind of gone through those things. But so now I need to say, okay, so now I don't really, there's no real reason for me to process this emotion. If there was a reason, I would say, okay, maybe I need to lean into it. Yes, a family friend, a guy that I've known since I was a child, he passed away a couple days ago, and tomorrow is his funeral, right? So yeah, that is sad. However, he had been, for the past year, it was one of those cases where he'd been really on death's door for about a year, right? And it was really one of those bittersweet releases that you actually are like, okay, it was a good thing in a way. He's no longer in misery and pain. So there, I don't really have any real reason to be upset or feel this way. So what I'm going to do, and what I've been doing, I'm smiling. I am trying to go outside as much as I can today. I'm trying to be as active as I can today. And this is also difficult because I'm incredibly overbooked. So this is one of those weird things you guys may not know about me, is that I'm constantly being asked to do these events and these like a lot of things, which is wonderful and it's beautiful and it's great. I got a lot of projects, but it is taxing, and it doesn't really allow for a lot of personal time. And so I'm saying, okay, what can I reschedule? Because today I've got to make time for me. So I've decided multiple times. I've done breath work sessions that are the super ventilation, the deep style breath work, the kind that activates the limbic system, something stuff that really just really is going to kick that emotional processor into gear, so that I can if there's something that's bothering me that I'm not like consciously aware of, I can process that and just let's do that, right? So I've done that a few times, and it's not a miracle cure. And that's one of another thing where I think a lot of times when a person, especially when they first discover breath work or Wim Hof method or any of these, they believe, and many of you guys have read my book, Practical Guide to Breathwork. If you haven't, it's an awesome book. You ought to read it. But when I was writing that book, I did so many trainings. I trained under so many people. I went to so many workshops. I did so much stuff. A lot of the stuff didn't even make it into the book. The book itself was 3 times the length that it eventually, at one time, it was 3 times the length. It's 200 pages long. At one time, it was 600 pages long. And I did a lot of editing. But there was always a class I would go to. There was always a workshop I would go to. And it never failed. There would be a person there that believed that technique was going to solve all of their problems. And they're like, I've had all these issues, but now I don't have to worry because I've got this technique. Actually, that's the impetus behind, some of you guys were referencing the video I did with Dave from Evolution of Dave. So yeah, it's and thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane, for it is, I think it's a pretty good book. But basically, there was always that person that says, I don't have to worry about feeling bad anymore. I don't have to worry about, being in a funk or anything like that anymore. And so that is, and this is one of those things. If I wanted to get a lot more clicks and views, and if I wanted to grow my audience even more, I could just lean into that and be like, yep, this cures the human condition. You will never feel sad again. You'll never get sick again. All these things. And there's a lot of people on the internet that do that. But the reality is you're still human. And the reality is you have these amazing tools. Like the fact that these tools are available are miraculous. And so when you're feeling down, when you're feeling, like you're in a funk or something like that, it's not like you just have to sit there and wallow, because you do have things that you can do. So what did I do today? I decided I rearranged my schedule. I was very fortunate that I could rearrange some things in my schedule. Not everything, but I could rearrange a few things. And you're going to do the moose breath, moose mans. I love it. But I rearranged a few things in my schedule. I went to be around people because I wanted to break out of this mental state. So I know myself well enough, and this is something that comes with getting to know who you are, right? It's not necessarily the case for everybody, but for me, I know that if I go around certain people, I'm going to make jokes, I'm going to have laughs, and it will make me feel better. And this is a healthy outlet for feeling better. And I think it's probably the most underutilized, and I would say it's probably the most underreported on YouTube or on the internet. We talk about pills and powders and breath work and all this stuff, but really, I mean, if you can go and find, it doesn't even have to be a close friend, but if you can just find, if you know somebody, like for instance, when I was younger, I used to know some people that would work at certain like coffee shops and restaurants. And we didn't know each other outside of those locations. But every time I would be in those places, we would make jokes and crack wise, as we used to say. And it was enjoyable, and it got me in a great mood. if those people still work at those places, I would go there. They don't. But I went over to my sister's, and my sister, actually, I'm going to have her on the channel sometime. My sister, she is creating, like, she does all sorts of this earth-based CBD stuff. It's like earth-based products. So like I got a bath bomb and some CBD tinctures and things like that. She's making soap, and she's doing it all out of her house with a friend. And it's really, really kind of cool. So I went over there. They were mixing some stuff up. I just kind of hung out for a few minutes, and we cracked some jokes, and it was enough to get me out of the mode that I would normally be in on a Friday, which is get this done, get it done. I needed things to get me out. And so in my book, you know what? Guess what I have here? Look at this. Product placement. So I got to send this out later on today. So I happen to have it here. But anyway, but in my book, I talk about interrupters. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to interrupt whatever stream is happening in my psychology. So, because I think that's essentially, that's what seems to break people out of funks, of mild depressions and things like that. Now, obviously there are some cases where it's a little stronger, and you really need to get, maybe, obviously don't take this as medical advice. Okay. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not a doctor, a scientist, or an astronaut. So don't take this as medical advice. But for me and for many of my clients and many of the people that I know, yeah, that one was a signed copy. I'm going to come back to this. We're talking about some people talking about the book. Yeah. Occasionally I do limited runs of signed copies. The Amazon.com version is not signed, but but next time I do a run of some signed copies, like if you watch, for instance, if you watch my Instagram, so if you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely do. On Instagram, what I'll do a lot of times, I'll get a box in. And by the time I get my next box of books for signed editions, I've got 100 books coming. I've already sold like 25 or 26. There's always people asking for them. So what I'll do though is whatever's left over, I'll say, hey, this is how many I have left over. If you want your copy, it's $25. I don't charge any extra for the signed. I don't charge hourly rate for signing my book. But I charge $5 for shipping, and that pays exactly the shipping. Now, the problem is if you live in another country besides the United States, I am so sorry. The shipping is $25, and some places it's 30 or 35. And I've had some people be willing to pay that much for the shipping, but that's more than the price, or that is the price of the book is $25. So, I don't know if you really want to pay that much. Anyway, that's a little spiel on the book. But the thing is, like I talk about it in the book, things, especially when it comes to breath work, interrupters, being able to use breath work as an interrupter. And so this oftentimes is an interrupter to the dopamine feedback loop. This is an interrupter to anxiety. That's more or less what I'm focusing on when I talk about it in my book. But I also use it as an interrupter for a funk or for a state of mild depression that just doesn't want to leave. So I've done all of the measures that I generally do, and I still feel the funk. Still feeling the funk, but I'm feeling better. That's the thing. And better is always better. And so I think sometimes in this world, we think that we need to have instant gratification, instant change, instant relief of symptoms. And that's why I think oftentimes we rely too heavily on, you name it, drugs, alcohol, caffeine, prescriptions, etc. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping a tab of my mental state. I'm definitely continuing to be present and to really be attentive and to really treat myself like, okay, I need to be treated. I'm not going to ignore this. I'm not going to lean into it and just be like, like just ignore. I'm not going to lean into it and start a pity party for myself. But at the same time, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to actually listen to what's happening and act accordingly. So basically, so that's what I'm doing, and it's working. And now, if I need to, I know that I can do breath work that is specifically altered state breath work, and I may do that. I might do that tonight. So it's to sometimes I need a really good dose of altered state breath work to really break through that funk, and that's a possibility. So the thing is, we have these tools, but guess what? I'm also eating well, and I tried to give myself, I tried to give myself a break. So sometimes I think we really have to learn how to do just forgiveness and to say, you know what, Jesse, you're not feeling that great. Don't hold yourself to such a high standard. Give yourself a break, forgive yourself. If you're not feeling up to doing everything, definitely hold yourself to a standard, but don't try to, don't get all judgmental on yourself, and don't be like, well, you got to do all these things. It's important, I think, to be nice to yourself, right? One of the monikers of this channel is to go out there and be kind to one another. And so sometimes we got to be kind to ourselves. So I'm looking at this no love person. So he's making some comments here. What is a green screen? What is a drug? What is a pity party? What is a funk? Oh my goodness. All right, let's see here. So Darren says he had to pay $20 to ship a small box the other day in Canada. So the shipping charges are accurate. That's the reason why I only do the ebooks. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I don't know what it is. And there was some like, for instance, I often have Marie Bodine on this channel. She's a good friend of mine. She's a fellow Wim Hof Method instructor, and I sent her a copy as a gift, and I was like, man, this is, because I was sending out gifts, and it was $5, and then it was like, Marie, why do you have to live in Canada? But it was very much worth it. I was so happy to send it to her. Let's see here. Mike is live, says, Jesse, it's great to see you, man. I couldn't agree with you more. I have severe anxiety hardwired into me. This is a great advice for anyone like me. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. And you know what? That's the thing where, so the thing is, we all have to live the human experience, and it is a beautiful thing. It is a wonderful, beautiful thing, full of all kinds of amazing experiences. But yeah, there's always going to be downs. There's going to be ups and downs, and it's just part of life, and it's not something to. It's not something to fear. It's something to acknowledge, accept, and also kind of embrace and learn from. Lance, an ebook variation would be amazing. Well, hey, brother, your wish is my command. My book is available on ebook. If you go to jessecoomer.com, you can get multiple versions of the ebook. So you can get the ebook directly from my website, or you can go to Amazon. The Kindle book is there. Also, as far as my breathwork book, it is also available on Audible. So if you like the audio version, a lot of times I don't have. It's one of those things. I have more time on the road sometimes. Like this month, I'm going to be on the road a lot. Guys, if you haven't signed up for the Mandala Springs Wim Hof Method workshops, they're next weekend, and those are awesome. It's going to be 8 hours for me on the road, so I have a lot of time to listen to a book. I don't always have a lot of time to actually sit down and read the book. So there is an Audible as well. So let's see here. Let's see. So a lot of letters your name begins with an O. Let me see what you have to say. I'm sure what you typed for your screen name makes sense, but I have no idea what it means. I'm in a similar spot right now. Would love to listen to your wisdom, but my body tells me to do some yoga. Well, hey, that's good. So that's just what I'm going to do now. Hang in there, dude. Things will be looking up soon. Absolutely. And here's the thing. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is not because, woe is me. I wanted, in a way, I think sometimes it's important to just say, hey, listen, there's going to be some days in life where you just are in a funk, right? And it's not like I'm going to sit here and complain and whine about it. I have a very good life. I'm a very blessed person. And I've been in way worse situations. There's really no reason. And that's the thing. I think it's important to understand that there's going to just be some days that just kind of like suck, right? And if you expect to be on a constant high your entire life, not only will you be disappointed, but that is a goal that generally leads people to extremes that ultimately cannot be perpetuated for very long. So, so again, I'm not saying, hey, things will never get down. It's just part of it. B12 helps a lot with feeling down, especially in combo with vitamin C. Absolutely. Those are great. There's a lot of things that can just help a person whenever you're feeling down. Adaptogens are great. And one thing that I have actually thought about is this. I've been going much lower carbohydrate lately, and I'm sure that has also zapped me of a little bit of energy too. Been doing a lot of extreme workouts, so I'm feeling the soreness and things like that. Those things typically don't give me much pause, but it's like I said, it's just kind of a life thing, right? Let's see here. So Chad, say, I know you posted about Kion, which is wonderful. I just wanted to ask about your earthing habits, if it's not too personal. Absolutely, I'd be happy to talk about that. In fact, I got to check the door just a minute. I just ordered my first pair of Earth Runner earthing sandals. And so I'm the type of guy that normally I'm a sandals or flip-flops kind of guy in the summertime, because as much as possible, you got to live in the world, right? I mean, you can go around and like just kind of, I guess, flippantly force your ways on the rest of the world. But, I don't want to do that to my family, So, but as soon as it's somewhat socially acceptable, I am doing things that are easy to take off my feet. And so, okay, let me just real quick. This might be really cool. We could do an unboxing if it arrived. It's supposed to arrive today. I'm not sure if it's come. I'll be right back. No. So I think it's going to arrive later today. But yeah, so I'm getting my earthing sandals in today, and they're specifically, they're made with leather soles, and they're made here in the United States. I gotta say, I really like what I see. It's not mass produced. They're produced specifically here in the United States for, and I gave them all my measurements and things like that. I thought it was pretty cool. They're handmade, so it's not a factory type. Well, I guess it's a factory, but it's a handmade factory. So it's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to get those. The only downside is, okay, they're made in California. I'm in Indiana. So granted, I'm pretty much on the other side of the United States, but but it will be a full week to get here. And I guess I'm spoiled whenever I order things. Normally it's here faster. Maybe it's just because I can't wait to get them so much. But hey, Chad, talking about earthing, and this is something I probably ought to do more of today specifically, but I do this pretty regularly. So any and every time I can take my shoes off, I do. And this is not only for the value of earthing and the benefits of the actual skin to earth, and the resonance and things that a lot of people talk about when they talk about earthing. It's not just for that. It's also for my foot health. My feet, I found something, some of you guys may know this, but many of you guys may not. I have two, not one, I have two torn meniscuses. I think that's the plural of meniscus, right? Or is it menisci? Is it like octopus? You're not supposed to say octopuses. You're supposed to say octopi. So I have two torn menisci, and I've had these. I've climbed mountains with my torn meniscuses. I'll say meniscuses. I've done amazing, crazy things having two torn meniscuses. But I did always wonder, why is it that I tore those things? What was it that happened? Because there was no actual. I never played football. It wasn't like I had an acute injury. So an acute injury would be like, oh, I know exactly when that happened. I don't know when it happened. I think really for one of them, it had to do with whenever I started to take up running. My wife, she's a runner. My wife likes to do running, does ultra races and things like that. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? This will be something we share. I'm going to take up ultra running too, and we'll share this together. And like, it wasn't too long into that I realized that I had a torn meniscus. That was my first torn meniscus. And so I can attribute it to distance running, but there was never a time when I came home and I was like, oh, tonight I think I hurt myself. So basically, then later on, I tore another meniscus, and there was no reason. There was just no reason. And so I did a lot of researching, and it has to do with my gait. It has to do with how I walk, and it has to do with foot health, right? And even though I've always been a barefoot guy, I have not always really cared about how mobile my feet are. So I even do exercises for my feet now. And so I am very, very, I find it to be a very important thing to take good care of my feet, because your feet, and your ankle mobility and my calf mobility, all of that, it's all connected. Your toe bone is connected to your neck bone one way or the other, right? So that's why I do a lot of things when I'm barefoot. I really try to feel that out. Now, like I said, I have two torn meniscuses, and I have no plans to get them operated on. They don't hurt at all now and they used to. Like, there was a reason why I knew I had two torn meniscuses. For the longest time. Actually, it's interesting. When I tore my first meniscus, it was in 2015, and I didn't really do anything about it. I didn't really know what it was for a long time. It really hurt. I had to stop running. But it wasn't until 2016, whenever I was about to climb a mountain bare-chested with Wim Hof for the first time in the master training for the first Wim Hof method instructor program, that I was like, maybe I should get this checked out. So I got it checked out before I went up and did the climb. And that's when I met a doctor of physical therapy, who I am currently working on a project with. It's hush hush, so I can't really give a lot of details. And it was supposed to be done already. We've been working on this project for almost 2 years now, but it's getting so close. I'm almost ready to be able to release it. And it's gonna change the game. It's really revolutionary what we're doing. It's one of those things where it's like we put our heads together, breath work, and we really figured it out. But anyway, actually, that's where I met her. And so she's like, yeah, you have a torn meniscus. So what I did is I really worked on my mobility, really worked on how my walking pattern has changed. And over those years, I'm completely, if I want to go run, I can. I just don't necessarily. My wife she's kind of gotten out of distance running. And so I'm like, I've never really liked running that much, to be honest. I've never really been much of a runner. I'm more of a weight trainer. I like jujitsu if I'm going to do something that's intense. I'm more of I'm less of a runner. I'm more of a, I don't know. other, maybe a gym rat. I don't know. I don't know what you might call me. So, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why I try to be barefoot as much as I can, because I want to really have mobile ankles, and I really want to work on my feet. But yeah, as far as earthing goes, you'll find me, especially on these really nice days, I try to just go outside as often as I can, walk around on bare feet, and I'm barefooted most of the time. Even whenever, like if you see me doing videos in the woods, especially during the summertime. Now, also also during the wintertime. You've seen me do a lot of most of my videos. Now that I'm starting to think about it, the vast majority of the videos that I've done in the past year, if they're outside, I'm barefoot. Whether there was snow on the ground or not, I was barefoot. So I do that a lot. Linz wants me to do jujitsu right now. Well, it's kind of hard to do jujitsu by yourself. and yeah, Papa Geek, functional patterns, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. We are dysfunctional because of the thing is, I don't want to make it sound like I don't like modern life, because modern life gives us the ability to have this conversation right now. And it's why we have clean water, and we have, well, it's also why we have awful things in our water too. That's a totally different story, but it's why we have a lot, electricity, a lot of other things. Yeah. GOTA is exactly what I'm a fan of GOTA. Ken, you're on it. So, so yeah, a friend of mine is, he's training to become a GOTA instructor, and I'm going to be bugging him a lot because I really don't want to do that myself. I'm on a kind of a path right now. But he's more into the physical therapy, physical stuff. And so, yeah, Ken, if you follow GOTA on Instagram, that's another great source. Let's see. We were talking. I'm going to get to Ken's question about this. Ken, is that what you're talking about? But yeah. So I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, what I do, I don't have a specific practice when it comes to earthing, because I know some people will do earthing every single day. They get they get outside, they do it every single day. For me, it is a thing where I'll walk my dog barefoot, or I do that pretty much every day. I will go outside multiple times. I work out of the house right now, so I love going outside and just, grabbing some sunlight and a patch of, grass, and just feeling it and gripping it with my feet. I'm teaching my son. See, the thing is, I've already noticed in the time he's almost 6 years old, and modern life has already messed him up a lot. And it's one of those things where, you might say, well, Jesse, how did you let modern life mess up your son? And of course I'm already in a funk, guys. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm already in a funk. I'm already wondering if I'm a bad father. But no, the thing is, it's nearly impossible not to. And if you think about like the system that we work within, even some of the better schools, right? They feed you cheap food. And like, I'm not a big fan of, and I don't want to get into too much, I guess, but the thing is, there's a lot of things where it's like, okay, you have to wear this certain kind of shoe. You have to sit down all day, and for better or worse, it's hard for me to say, would life be better if we didn't have chairs? Well, I'm sitting in a chair right now, but I already see some dysfunction. So what I'm trying to do with him is we're playing a game called Monkey Toes, trademark. I haven't really traded, but the point is, we play this game called Monkey Toes, and basically we go outside and we try to pick up things with our feet. And it's really hard for him right now. And of course, for me, I have monkey toes because I do these exercises all the time. I'm going to do a video on the exercises that I do with my feet. I'm still not amazing at it, but I try, right? It's a practice. So we go outside and we pick things up with our feet. Well, we're earthing the whole time, right? Because we're barefoot on grass, but we're also doing functional things with our feet. We're actually working out. We're using that mind-body connection as opposed to just shoving your feet into shoes, you know? So yeah, Ken, so anyway, yeah. So Ken, I have this kava here. It happens to be here from last night when I was using it. I still do kava kava. I don't do kava kava all the time. I think some people got the misconception that I do it like every day, you know, and there's nothing that I do every day except for breath work, eating, you know, I don't even exercise every single day. I sleep every day if I can, you know, I assume, you know, but there are some things I guess I do every day. But yeah, kava kava, what I do, and because I've been in kind of a funk, I've had a little hard time sleeping, and I've been doing kava kava in the evenings to kind of help me relax. So and last night I got heavy into the kava. I you know, it numbs the tongue a little bit sometimes whenever you dip into the kava. Kava is something you want to be careful with if you have liver issues. I just want to make that clear. If you have liver issues, you want to be careful with that. I'm fortunate that I recently got a blood test and I'm healthier than I'm healthy. I'm not healthy as a horse. I'm healthier than a horse. So, so I went to the doctor. And then here's the thing: when it comes to I'm very fortunate that what I do is I don't even go to a doctor. I go to a nurse practitioner. Yeah, I'm sorry, Papa Geek. It's illegal in a lot of countries. Actually, I didn't realize that when I made the video. I assumed it was legal everywhere. And apparently my original video, the old video that is it's like maybe 2 years old now. And I still stand behind the video. It's just, I didn't realize that it was illegal in a lot of places. And it is. So if you're in the United States, let the good times roll. If you're in Europe, it may not be available for you. Linz, kava is, and if you don't live in the United States, you don't want to know what kava is, because I'm just saying, because you can't really have it. But kava is well, you know what? Take a look at my video. I give you. I think my video is like 20 minutes long. It's a 10 or 20 minute video. But what is the movie? The story of, was it Ricky Bobby? Walk Hard, right? You don't want none of this shit. You know, anyway, you don't want no part of this shit. Anyway, so kava kava is not intoxicating or anything like that. It's something that you can just relax. It's a relaxer, and you get to a point where even if I drink this whole thing, there's only a certain level of relaxation you can even really get with it. But yeah, okay. So Ken wants to know how many droppers you have. I have 2 dropperfuls on top of mini shells. So that's the traditional. So what are you talking about? If you drink a shell of it, that's the traditional cup of kava. And I gave my brother-in-law a cup of kava, and I thought it would be really cool. I thought he would enjoy it. I forgot how terrible it tastes at first for most people. And Ken, you can probably attest to that. At first it tastes terrible. It's how do you spell kava? It's Kava. Weird entity. It's here it is. I use the tincture right now. The reason why I was using the tincture was just because it's easier. I like them both. The tea, I guess it's more of it's like a tea. The drink, it just I just didn't use it last night. But anyway, so let's see here. He says he uses let's see. Also, great news in regards to your liver. Yeah, my liver is pretty good. Guys trying to get kava from Etsy. If it's okay, you can read that. I don't want to take any part of any illegal operations here. Yeah, Ken. Yeah, you're right. It does. It tastes like, exactly. I like how you spelled it. Shite. Yeah, that's it. Are you Irish, Ken? I keep ginger close for the nausea if I drink too quick. So I actually, what's funny is, like, it doesn't bother me anymore. And it's kind of a nice flavor. Now, if you get this one, and I don't have any connection to these guys, the Now Nutrition. If you get theirs, it actually tastes okay. It's they put it with glycerin, so it's got a kind of almost like I don't know. It's not a bad taste at all. It tastes much better than kava does by itself. So Ken's an Aussie first. Okay, so there you go. Yeah. So you guys have the good stuff down in Fiji. But live in the UK. Let's see now. A bother where it is illegal, but you can give it to an anxious pet. Interesting. It's kava kava. It makes even anxiety relief even better. You don't want no part of this, Dewey. Yes, that's it. Dewey Cox. It was Dewey Cox. Yeah, the Walk Hard, the story of Dewey Cox. It's kava kava. I see what this is exactly what I need. I think you might have brought me out of the funk, like just with this comment, Papa Geek. So Papa Geek has not only found the correct reference that I was trying to get at. He's even replicated the quote in the right way. Who was the Saturday Night Live star that used to say that? It was Tim Meadows, I think it was. But yeah, it makes even anxiety really feel better. If you don't want any part of this, Dewey. Oh my God. So anyway, so basically we've got a wonderful life, and anxiety and funks and things like that. They're part of it. It's something to not be afraid of. But I think a lot of times we're so addicted to just being happy all of the time that we don't even, we're just like, oh no. And it makes it worse. And it's just like an ice bath. It's just, which I'm about to go take now. Okay. It's time for my ice bath. I have to do this, but it's just like that. If you tense up and try to muscle your way through, sometimes it's better just to relax and treat yourself kindly, not force anything, and do what you can to go easy on yourself. So that's what I'm doing. I am going to take an ice bath. After I said I'm going to go easy on myself, I am going to take an ice bath. And yes, P. Haggerty, out of the funk. This audience is awesome. Guys, I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate all the comments. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all your questions. Next week, on Friday, I will be traveling. As long as we have enough people sign up for the workshops in North Carolina, I'm going to go to North Carolina. We had a weird thing happen where not a lot of people were able to sign up early on because of the link. The link didn't work. So if you were one of those people, the links work now. So please sign up. I would love to be able to go. If we don't have enough people, I just can't go. It's a 4-day journey for me, so I have to be cognizant about that. But right now, you can sign up. Go to my website. It is available, jessekumar.com. I'll be in North Carolina next weekend, and in the last weekend, I think in late May 22nd, 23rd, I'll be in Chicago. So more on that next time. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for helping me out of my funk. You guys have been really great. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget to go be kind to people.